Okay, so basically those are pretty much all the tools that I use to set this up. I have my three visual elements that I'm going to put into here. And now I start looking into how I want to set this up. So in this case, because the images are pretty light and don't have a lot of density, I think that it might be better to uh, put them inside boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the rectangle tool, and what you have here is different tools, so you can do different shapes. I'm going to do rectangles, and I'm going to do a large rectangle here where I'm going to put in all my site analysis information. And you'll see here that currently there is no color to anything. So if I just drop it, it's going to disappear, but it's still there. And what I'm going to do is just give it a black outline. And you have it here. And I'm going to do the same for the other two elements. You can change these boxes, the size, whenever you want. And then I'm going to do another box here. So what I'm doing here is just making sure that all my elements sort of align. And I can make it the same. See? So that looks a lot neater. I'm going to leave a little bit of space in the middle maybe to make it look a little bit better. And I can move the elements around in here to center them, etc. If I wanted to, and I am going to, put in labels for these boxes, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between. And I want these boxes to match up exactly. You see there. So unless I'm like looking at really close, I mean, this might not be in the same line. So what I do, and I'm sure there are better ways to do this, is I just actually just draw a line and say, okay, at 90, no, at 0. So it's going, like you can see, horizontally. The length doesn't really matter, because then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that line and stretch it out like that. And that's going to allow me to sort of see if these two lines are even, which they are. And also that's going to help me if I want to align my my titles. In this case, I want them to be at the same level. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to just leave it there for now. Take my text box, set it up. You can see that this text is super tiny, so I'm going to go to fonts. Whoops. To fonts, and it was an Arial bold. Oh, here we go. Size. It's at 12 currently. I'm going to make it bigger. 24. I'm going to make it even bigger. 36. And I'm going to put in site analysis. So I'm going to grab this and place it on the line. Just put it in the middle. I can just copy that same text so I don't have to redo the font size and so on. And I'll just change this to bubble diagram. And then paste another. And I'm going to change this to functional diagram. You always have to go and reselect it so you can move it around. And then I can just get rid of this line because it's not necessary in the design. But like you see, now I already have it set up. And within this, then I can work, like we said, I can put in text in the text box. I go back to text, I put in another text box, and that can be moved around wherever you want. Like we saw before, if I know that this image is going to remain there and I don't want it to be floating around, I can always lock it. So I go to Object, Lock, Selection. And so now I'm not going to be able to move this one around. I'm going to deselect it because I'm going to need to move it around. But that's basically it. You can bring in all the information you want and move things around as much as you want. But it's fairly simple, and I've only used about 3, maybe 4 of the tools Illustrator has to offer. So like I said, it's super basic, but it works well for this type of presentation. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to save it. And how am I going to save it? Save it as, currently it is in Adobe Illustrator file, AI. You can save it directly as a PDF. If I wanted to, I can save it as an Illustrator file and then a PDF, right? So what do you do if you need a JPEG? And like I said, I'm sure there are better ways to do this, but basically what I do is I'll just take the file that I had. No, I don't know where I saved this. Where did I put it in? Here it is, full PDF. And I'll drop it into Photoshop. At no point am I changing any sizes in the original. Everything is exactly the same size. And once I have it in Photoshop, what I do is I have to flatten the image so the elements are all tied in together. And then I just save it as, you could leave it as a Photoshop document or save it as a JPEG. When I'm saving it, I'm going to keep the quality, but if this is like super heavy, I will go to image size, and then fix it there. So this image now weighs like 200 megs, which is ridiculous. So I can lower the resolution here, 150, it's already lowering. And I can also change the size of the, I could just change, lower this resolution. And I can also change the size of the image. And it's not changing, oh yeah, I might be changing. So I don't know how much this is gonna weigh. So I'm just gonna save it. And I can go back and say, okay, this JPEG, look to see, it's 1.8 megs. So that's gonna work out really well. And it's still at 150 dpi. So guys, I hope this was useful. Like I said, this is the first time I'm doing this, and I hope it wasn't like super confusing. But I try to open it up into little videos. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Like I said, I'm no expert, but this is what I'm doing to set up my sheets. Hope it works for you guys. Bye-bye.